Do I have something in store for you today? Let's go. So, look, this episode, we're going to be talking about a huge missed opportunities for aspiring authors and people writing their book. I was asked the other day, hey, Jake, what is one of the biggest missed opportunities people have when writing their book that if they do this and take advantage of this opportunity, they can have a lot more success with their launch and with the success overall of their book? And so I gave it some thought, and I thought about my experience writing 4 books, and I thought about the dozens and dozens of people that I've worked with. And I realized that there is one thing that I have found that consistently differentiates people in terms of building the awareness and really capitalizing on their book. And it is this. The biggest missed opportunity, and we're going to dig deep into this in this episode, but the biggest missed opportunity that I see for aspiring authors, specifically for nonfiction authors, is not talking about your book until it is launched. Okay. And so what I mean by this specifically is not talking about it while you're creating it. Okay. And saving you talking about it until you have a launch day set or until your book's out. And here's why I see this as a huge missed opportunity, is because what a lot of people do is they keep the book all to themselves. And we'll talk about why people don't share and why certain times it may make sense to hold off. But for a lot of people, they wait and wait and wait and wait. And then they say, hey, my book, the first post they make, hey, my book is live. I just launched my book. Go buy it. And the problem with that is, okay, amazing. Whoa. Congratulations, but what the heck? I didn't even know you were writing this book. I don't know what to do. What are you even talking about? Like slow down. And then people are confused and they're unsure. And now this is supposed to be one of the greatest moments ever for you. And now people don't fully grasp it or understand the excitement behind it. And so I want to break down like my experience with my books. And I also want to share my experience of like why people don't talk about their book, what holds them back, and then also like why you should and how you can capitalize on this opportunity. So for book 1 for me, okay, I really didn't have a social media presence. I didn't use social media for business. I didn't have an email list. I was just writing this book, and I told a few people about it as I'm doing it, but it was pretty much behind the scenes for the most part until I got really close for launch. Okay. And now I wish, looking back at what I've learned, I wish I would have talked about it throughout the entire process. But I was scared of what people would think. I wasn't sure if my job with the Lakers would be supportive of it. Like there were a lot of factors that I just didn't know. And I was so early on in my career, I just didn't want to ruffle the feathers. And I didn't really know what I was trying to achieve with this book. So I wasn't able to maximize it. And I didn't realize the opportunities I was missing. That being said, I still made sure that I talked about it leading up to the launch. And that was enough for me to get that initial boost. But then I talked about it a ton once the book was launched. And that's also something that people forget to do, is just talk about your book once the book's out. And that'll be a whole nother episode. But for my second book, I really started talking about it and sharing it with my colleagues and letting people know why I was writing it, who it was for. So I started like promoting the book and using the book as part of my salesmanship when communicating with potential speaking clients and other clients and other opportunities. And because of that, I was able to book a 10-day speaking tour in China to talk about the topics of my second book before it was even launched. So I actually went to China in July to do a 10-day speaking tour. My book didn't come out till that October. Okay, that was huge. The only reason I got that gig was because the person who was hiring got my information and was told that I was writing a book on elevating your network, which is all about communication and relationship building. And that's what they were looking for, somebody from America to come and speak about to their schools and to a few of their organizations. For book number 3, the way that I really used it before the launch is this was an interview style book. And so the way that I used this and the way that I talked about it was all through building major relationships. So before the book even came out, I had already achieved one of my biggest goals of writing the book in the first place, which was to build relationships with high-level entrepreneurs. Some of the people that I interviewed in that book are Jill Stanton, who has the Millionaire Girls Club, who has an incredible community for 7-figure female entrepreneurs. Lori Harder, Chris Ducker, John Lee Dumas, Pat Flynn. Some of the people, the holistic psychologist, Dr. Nicole Pera. Some of these people that I've looked up to for a long time. John Gordon, All right, Ben Newman, like these really influential people that I wanted to get to know. The book was my way of getting to know them. And then I used it to bring in tons of revenue and tons of leads. Book number 4, Big Idea to Bestseller, my book that came out in December of 2022. This book, I talked about it from the day that I was starting to write the book. I started talking about it. And within 87 days, because that's how long it took me from start to finish, I brought in tens of thousands of dollars and had a ton of leads that converted right after the book got launched. But because I talked about it throughout every step of the process, I was able to bring the attention, bring in the awareness, and ultimately convert people before the book was even out, right? So I just want to share with you like how my progression has gone and how I've realized that it's about the intention of why you're writing this book, and then it's about talking about it. And by not doing that, you're missing out on an opportunity. Now, does that mean that if you don't talk about it, you won't have success with your book? Absolutely not. But I do think a huge missed opportunity for authors is they think they're actually supposed to wait. But part of the things that people love most is being part of your journey and hearing what you have going on. And so I want to talk about some of the reasons why people don't talk about their book while they're writing it. Okay. Well, one of the reasons is that they're just working on it behind the scenes. So they don't really want anybody to know. They're just doing it. It's a personal project. It's something that they're just like, you know what? I'm going to write it and do my own thing. And then once it's ready, then I'm going to share it. And they're okay with that. Okay. That's their choice. A lot of times though, they don't even know that there are benefits of sharing it, which is I hope what this episode will help you do is see that that is a missed opportunity. And I just want you to know as I'm talking, like I respect everybody's writing process. The coolest thing about when you self-publish a book is that you can have your own process. You can do what feels good, when it feels good. You can go at your own timeline. You go as fast or as slow as you want. And I respect everyone's process because everyone's a little bit different. We'll give you the roadmap. We'll give you the steps, but you'll be able to adapt your own flair because ultimately it's your book. It's your story. It's your personality. It's your skills, your transformation. One of the other reasons though, people don't share their book is because they aren't ready to share on social. And a lot of times this comes from people doing a rebrand. This comes from people not knowing what to share on social. This comes from people who are nervous about how they'll be perceived on social. And so one of the things that we do with all of our clients is we give you a guide, how to create 100+ pieces of content on social. And we literally give you a guide on what we call milestone content so that you can include your audience along the way and very easy to follow, easy to create social media content. The next reason that people don't talk about their book is because they don't want to offend family members or they're not ready to surprise people. And sometimes when people are writing very personal stories or sharing things or getting vulnerable, it takes an additional layer before they're ready to be comfortable to share that. And so I always encourage people to start small, but to start just talking about more general things then before you go into the specifics. Because the truth is, you could talk generally about creating a book without giving away the stories or without throwing anyone under the bus, without feeling like you're throwing anyone under the bus. And so that's something that's huge. The next thing is some people are writing this book while they're working a job and they know that they're going to quit in 6 months. So they're writing the book so that the book could serve as the major launch pad. Well, sometimes you may have to keep that confidential. All right. Bosses don't know. Bosses, you might not think your boss will be supportive. You might not think your colleagues will be supportive. That's another reason. Another one as well, I got 2 more for you, is that you're scared to show the world and tell people. You know, sometimes writing a book, it is a very personal process. Sometimes it's very healing. Sometimes it's very, therapeutic. Sometimes it's very personal. And so sometimes people are just genuinely, they're just scared to share it with the world. It's the first time they've created something. A book is a big deal. And so sometimes they're just a little bit hesitant to share it and tell people that they're doing it because they don't want people to discredit them, tell them not to do it, or whatever it may be that's going on in their minds. And the final thing, which kind of sums up all of this, which is like the underlying theme of why people don't do it, is they're scared and worried about what other people are going to think. They're scared and worried. Oh, you shouldn't write that book. Oh, who are you to write this book? Oh, you shouldn't do this. You don't have enough to say, right? All these haters might come in. And I'll tell you this, I faced that firsthand. When I wrote my first book, people talked behind my back. Friends that I thought were like good friends were talking shit about me. And I found out about that. And it was discouraging to say the least. Like, it was a huge bummer, but at the same time, I knew that my mission of writing this book was greater than what somebody who was small-minded thought. End of story. Okay. And so that was what pushed me to keep on going. And that's what I hope will push you to keep on going, because I don't want you to miss opportunities. You're writing this book. You're here to change the world. You're here to make a difference. You're here to make some money. Well, let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. So I kind of boiled it down here now to how you can take advantage of this opportunity. Okay. And I'm going to separate these into online and offline. And we're just going to go kind of real quick because I just want to wet the palate a little bit. I don't want to overwhelm you with 100 different things. I just want to give you a little bit of like, ooh, okay, I got this. Let's go. So there's online and offline. This is how you can capitalize on both of these opportunities depending on your reasons or depending on what your objective is for the book. So if you're online, one of the ways that you should be able to talk about your book, and this is the lowest hanging fruit in my opinion, is through social media. All right, and you can use social media for awareness, talking about the book, just letting people know where you're at in the book, kind of just, hey, I'm writing this book, letting them be aware. You can use it for leads. Hey, I'm writing the book. If you want to be the first to know about it, sign up here. Hey, I'm writing a book and I talk about the 5XYZ. Hey, send me a message saying 5 and I'll send you the free PDF, right? And so you start to see what people already want so that you know what to do when it's polished. This is something that we work with our clients on. And then sales. You're talking about your book. Let's say you're doing a book on real estate. All right, you're doing a book on real estate specifically. Let's say you're doing a book on how to get your first rental property. Okay. Well, you can literally talk about your book. You're sharing things about your book. Notice you're not promoting your business directly, but you're promoting your business indirectly. So you talk about your book, you talk about your book, you talk about your book. You say, hey, by the way, I got 3 spaces right now to coach somebody on how to get their first rental property in 90 days. And then, okay, watch this bonus ninja hack. Then people start to come in. Now they're leads, they're interested in sales. You close them on a coaching package and then you say, hey, because you signed up, I'm going to give you the first copy, one of the first 100 copies of my book. Boom. Okay, come on. You feel me on this? You seeing this? The second reason why social is so powerful is because it's easy to create content that allow people to feel like they're part of your journey. Okay, so if you're talking about your book, this is so valuable because people love to see the journey, the creation process. Oftentimes people, post on social, hey, look at me, look how great I did. This is what I did. But people love to know the struggles, the challenges, the excitement, the process. All right, and when I talked about my book every single day for the 87 days that I did it, it was called Project Bestseller 90-Day Challenge. People were engaging with me, which kept me excited, which kept me motivated, but also it showed people like, here's what I'm doing. Here's when I'm doing it. Like, this is hard, but people felt like they were part of the journey, which ultimately led to more people supporting the initial launch. And then another way you can use social is to showcase your transition. So if you are transitioning from one career to a next, or one offer to another offer, or adding something to your business, well, your book will allow you to showcase this transition because you can talk about it through the creation of your book. The next way that you could do online is through email and text campaigns. So if you already have an email or a text list, you can provide a weekly or a bi-weekly update, which is great content and great value talking about your book. But on top of that, you can talk about journey content as well as milestone content, which is where you're at. So that's including people along the process who are your fans who have already opted in, but it's also taking the value content from your book, the best tips, the best stories, and you're sharing that so that you can get feedback along the book, but also provide incredible value. And then the third way that you can really start talking about your book before it's even launched is through podcasts. People think, oh, I have to go on a podcast tour once my book is out. No. Once you have started writing a book, you can start pitching yourself to be on these podcasts. Use your book as the credibility. Use yourself creating the book. So you reach out to a podcast host and you say, hey, I know that you talk to your audience about leadership, specifically in corporate settings and in HR. I'm actually writing a book right now on this topic. And here are 3 things that I think your audience would love to hear about, aka 3 things that you talk about in your book. And then you pitch them and they're like, whoa, we'd love to have you on. And they'll either schedule it to you in advance and you could set it for a launch date a podcast release date when your launches. You can have it in advance and use it to collect leads. I mean, there are so many. You can use it to collect relationships. And there's so many ways that you can use this thing to benefit yourself. So those are just a couple ways. All right, I hope you're like, holy shit, I'm seeing this a little bit differently than when I started listening to this episode. But you can use your book online to talk about it before it's actually done. Are you seeing why this is such a missed opportunity? All right, why you could be leaving so much money and impact on the table? And now the offline, okay? Some people, no matter what, they're not going to talk about it online. And that's okay if that's your process, if that's what you want to do. I believe that it's beneficial to post it anywhere and everywhere and that you can. But again, different books call for different situations, different intentions call for different situations. But offline, there are always people that you could talk to about your book. So you can share it with your colleagues, okay? Say your colleagues are really supportive, you're writing it about it, you're using it to help grow the company or the business, or maybe you run an organization that has 1,500 employees, or you have a bunch of customers who this book is really for, to further elaborate your story and your process to build more brand loyalty. Talk about your book with your colleagues, get them excited, get them talking about it too, right? And this can be behind the scenes. All right, you can share this with friends who might be able to spread the word. All right, so what's really cool is everybody has a friend or two. Start thinking about which friends make the most sense to get involved in this process. Who might know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, right? Share it with your family and your biggest supporters. Let the people that matter most to you in. All right, this is life. Life is supposed to be fun, exciting, inclusive. Bring it on, baby. And then here's one of my favorites that a lot of people miss the ball on, okay? Share it with your professional network. All right, here's what I found after writing a networking book and really specializing in building these relationships is that the people that aren't necessarily your best friends, but people that you've worked with in your past, people that you've done business with, people that you've mentored that have gone on to other companies, whatever it may be, those people are often incredibly willing to help. Because they're not close enough with you to where it's like, hey, I'm just your boy, I'll support you in any way. But it's also that they're not far enough removed to where they don't have any interest in you. These people really do want to see you succeed, and they'll want to try to help you out, especially if you've helped them out in the past, okay? It's not expecting something for helping them out previously, but it is asking for favors. That's what this is. And so when you share it with people, what this does is if you share it with different people, you can book speaking engagements in advance in preparation for the book launch, but you can also sell hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of copies of your book by doing this. So let me give you an example here, okay? I was getting ready to release, I'll use my second book since I've kind of been talking about networking, and that elevates your network. If you haven't got it and you want a free copy, let me know. Otherwise, you can get it online on Amazon. But here's the thing. This book, I started talking to teachers. I was doing a lot of high school speaking, college speaking, educator speaking. And that's who this book initially started off being for. And so I would send the topics to these people and say, hey, my book's coming out in October. It's all about this. I'd love to do a presentation for you on it this summer, or I'd love to talk to you about buying some books in advance for your organization, for your student leaders or whatever. And I was able to sell a bunch of copies before the book was even complete. Okay. And obviously I had to fulfill that before I could collect the money. But my point is that I was already pitching myself, and this is my professional network. Okay. This can be really, really valuable to do this. So to sum it all up, okay, when you talk about your book, there are really three things that come from this. Number one is you have accountability. By talking about it, by posting about it, by telling people about it, you have now put it out into the world, and therefore you don't want to disappoint others, let alone yourself. You're more likely to take more action. You feel more accountable. All right, that's a really, really valuable thing. When I wrote my fourth book, this was really, really helpful for accountability because people were expecting me to get it done. People were rooting me on and getting me hyped about it. The second thing, to sum it all up, is that when you talk about your book, you build awareness. What this does is this allows people to know that your book's coming. It starts to prime them without super strong call to action, without pitching yourself, without asking for a sale, but it gets people aware. It's valuable. It gets people excited. It feels that they're part of the journey. And then number three is attention, attention, attention. Okay, when you have a book and you talk about it as it's happening, people start to pay attention. They're like, ooh, That person's doing something difficult. That person's doing something I've always thought about. That person's doing the hard thing. They're putting in the work. There's no way they can fake this. They're showing up for themselves. That gets people paying attention. When people pay attention, now you can turn them into buyers, leaders, subscribers, okay? And so that primes them for purchase, primes them for you to give call to action along the way. And so as I wrap this up, okay, this is all about the huge missed opportunity that comes, okay? And I don't want you to miss this opportunity. I want you to capitalize on this. I want you to not just write a book, but I want you to change your life and so many other people's lives as you write the book. And then, of course, once the book is done, I want this to change the freaking world. All right. And so if you really enjoyed this, I want to give you a free copy of my book that will show you the process of how to do this, show you the process of how to specifically write your book, how to do it quick, what to talk about. Okay. We even have a bonus chapter in there of some social media stuff for you guys. All right. So if you want that, text the word free, FREE, to the phone number 661-669-7363. Again, if you want a free copy of my best-selling book, Big Idea to Bestseller, text the word free to me, 661-669-7363. That's what I got for you today. I hope you have an unbelievable time listening to this and implementing this, but let's get after it and let's make some books happen.